he can't just come back and be Mr. Superman. He needs to be vulnerable.
I'm a champion!
Shall we get right into SmackDown?
Yes, please.
Let's.
So the cold open of this week's show was that now infamous line from Paul Heyman. I acknowledge that you are not my tribal chief.
That you are not my tribal.
What a performance for Paul Heyman. Skills coming to you first. In Madison Square Garden, no less. The place to do this.
Perfect place to do this spot. It was a phenomenal moment. I think one that will go down in history. And it actually had me feel like, is this actually the best booked wrestling faction of all time? So far, I don't think the Bloodline has missed a beat.
I think there's an argument to say they've been treading water a little bit since Mania.
Yeah,
and
I guess.
I think there were weeks when Wolfpack Bloodline became mildly mid-card feeling. Mm-hmm. Always with the thought that this will ramp up again and become main event status. But status? Status. I'm not American. I mean, I think Madison Square Garden was the place to do it. And all of a sudden, it is the most important story in WWE once again.
Absolutely. And it was this was the moment Solo has been waiting for, to finally have his own faction of the Bloodline, to be called the Tribal Chief, to have everyone acknowledge him. And it just felt for him, Paul Heyman spoiled that moment for him. And that's what happened. You know, we all know what happened to Paul at the end. But what a great moment. I think that's the moment that's going to go down in history.
I think it really will. And because, Mekz, Madison Square Garden is a venue that Heyman, as a youngster, used to blag his way into as a photographer to take pictures of wrestling from ringside. To think that this happened there, he essentially main evented the show. I put out on Twitter, to quote you, Mekz, wrestling is not enough. You only get crowd reactions like that, like eruptions of the crowd through good characters and amazing stories. And Heyman blew the roof off the Garden.
Absolutely.
I've got goosebumps.
His venue.
Like, honestly, it was one of those. It's even like an episode where I don't think anyone kind of knew this is what we were getting. We saw, yes, there was going to be some type of acknowledgement ceremony or whatever, but to have this to punctuate it was just so. This is a man that's had enough. Last week you told him that Roman Reigns isn't coming back, and that's his tribal chief. So you can't just tell him that and think, well, I'm the tribal chief. You tell me I'm the tribal chief now, and he's just going to surrender and do it. And we spoke about this last week as well. You know, the facial hair, the bloodshot eyes, everything. He prepared maybe, days in advance for this segment, this moment, to really sell the fact that I'm not sleeping, I'm not well, this is haunting me. Roman's not here, and now you're asking me to tell you I'm the tribal chief, knowing he's surrounded by this pack of angry Samoans and Tongans, to have the gumption to turn around and say, you're not my tribal chief.
Yeah.
And then whatever's going to happen to him afterwards, I'm staying true to myself. It was brilliant. And as well, for him to take all those bumps at his age, someone that's completely inactive, just absolute kudos to Paul Heyman.
There was a tweet that went out on the internet that this Roman Reigns is the first wrestler Paul Heyman has been loyal to. You know how usually when he manages other talents, he's betrayed CM Punk.
Maybe I should have seen it coming, but damn it, Paul, I trusted you.
He's betrayed Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Is that better?
Yeah, much.
But with Reigns, he's sticking with that. And I just feel that's what makes this moment so even more special.
It's the most powerful thing. And don't forget Heyman's history with the family. He managed the Samoan SWAT team in WCW, who became the head shrinkers in the WWF.
That's correct.
Which included Fatu, later Rikishi, Solo's father, and Jacob Fatu's uncle. So the history there, the loyalty to Roman is incredible. I mean, I never thought I would describe a portly, balding, unshaven, obviously knackered 58-year-old being smashed through a table as beautiful. Yeah. But this was as beautiful as wrestling gets, I think. It did so much in that one segment. And to your point about him not sleeping, his anxiety levels of the character of Heyman, apparently he didn't sleep the night before.
He had bags under his eyes.
He has bags under his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot. Apparently, he did not sleep the night before in preparation for this. So that feeling would just come through the camera.
Absolutely.
And it really did.
Like you can, doctor even to an extent getting red eyes. But you can't fake bags under your eyes. Like you there's no way you can really fake that. Makeup could maybe enhance it, but that's about it. And even to your point, and I'm saying this now just so that the internet doesn't kind of come after you. There was a part in the whole Bloodline story when, if you remember, Brock came back into the picture and he kind of deviated and we didn't really know. Do you remember, like back in like 2021 maybe or so, 2022, where he deviated? We didn't really know what side he sat on, but still, to your point, he found his way back to Reigns, where in the past, like you mentioned, he has always kind of gone off with the next guy, sort of thing. So
and the internet's not going to come after Skillit, not for that anyway.
I hope not.
For other reasons, definitely.
Maybe.
But this was even more masterful than we're even giving it credit for, because if you think about it, Solo basically did the Roman Reigns babyface turn without Roman even having to show up.
Yeah.
Like,
What do you mean?
well, Solo has just made Roman into the biggest babyface.
Oh, I
in
see
the
what you're
industry.
saying. Yes, yeah, I agree.
And Roman sat at home.
Definitely.
So like before, Solo is still doing Roman's dirty work.
It's true.
But I just cannot say enough of, when I watched it, that kind of visceral reaction from the crowd.
Yeah, man.
Who just went, just kept going up and Heyman, got goosebumps all over my body. It was just so well executed, so beautifully told. And how big is the Roman Reigns return going to be when he turns up? And I don't know, Heyman's going to be off TV for a while now to sell what he went through.
Yeah.
And he's not, as you said, Mekz, he's not a performer. He's totally inactive in terms of, he's taken the odd bump over the decades, but not many.
Yeah.
So, his back isn't used to running the ropes or taking bumps. That would have hurt.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. It would have hurt. But he's going to be off TV to sell it for quite a while. Do you think he turns up, stands in the aisle, smiles, and then Roman's music hits?
That's exactly.
Is that how it's going to happen?
It has to be.
Oh God!
We cannot have a Roman Reigns return without Heyman by his side.
I might be sick.
The pop is going to be crazy as well. It's going to be
insane.
another level pop.
Even if I think the arena for this is probably SummerSlam, where they've said, Solo and Cody. And at this point, if anyone is doubting that Solo should be in a main event with Cody, they just don't like Solo, because this was masterfully built. They're going to have the Money in the Bank three-way match this week, the trios match. And obviously we'll talk about that when we get there. But all we're doing now is taking steps to affirm that Solo is the top guy, in this Bloodline situation now. And SummerSlam, when they have this match, you may get a whole ladies and gentlemen, or you might just get the crowd gasping because Paul Heyman has walked out. But Roman is coming back to defend the honor of his wise man. That was always going to be the one thing that drew him out of his position, that made him think, all right, now I need to come and do something. I didn't expect what we got on Friday so soon, but to sell it, Paul Heyman will now be off TV for the best part of a month, maybe before that SummerSlam date where he might show up again.
So that's my question. When does Roman Reigns turn up? Because it could be as early as Money in the Bank. I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought they'd hold it for a stadium show, which SummerSlam obviously will be.
Yeah, it has to be SummerSlam.
Do you think?
It has to. I would think so. I mean, I could be wrong. It could be this Saturday in Canada. It's in Canada, right?
Yeah, Toronto.
Nah, it's not Saturday.
A live event in Saskatoon.
It's SummerSlam. It's going to be a big one. They've got the big deal with SummerSlam and Mania and Royal Rumble, so they're going to add on to great moments at these big events, and this is going to be one of them for sure.
Maybe they even use it as a way to protect Solo. We're deep in the match and Solo looks like he's going to get the win, and ladies and gentlemen, and he walks out, the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
Roman's music hits, crowd goes crazy. Then Cody puts away Solo. So he's still kind of protected as this leader. You might still get Cody leaving the arena, walking past Roman, which is important to kind of keep that alive.
They face off as well.
Yeah,
And
and then Roman goes to deal with what's happening in the ring with
That's
Solo.
right. And I feel like the bloodline, this new bloodline, this new format, we just got Jacob Fatu just joining. They still need a few more weeks, a few more months of them causing havoc to really solidify their threat and how dangerous this group is before Roman returns. So I think this is still a bit more work to do.
And I quite like that dynamic. Like you mentioned people not liking Solo. There were definite times in the original Bloodline where everyone was concentrating on Jay, but Roman was the head honcho. And obviously now everyone is desperate to have Roman back. But I quite like that dynamic of you've got Solo as the the tribal chief for the Wolfpack bloodline, but underneath you've got Jacob Fatu. And I wanted to mention, little sidebar thing, his entrance I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
And his music, I think music, as we found out at the Royal Rumble, where so many wrestlers' music played and they were like, who is this?
Who's this?
Yeah.
There has been some generic tracks for a lot of talents recently, and it was really highlighted at that event specifically. But this was the first tune I've heard in quite a while that really kind of nailed the character and the aura and the presence of Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, man.
They've
I
got that
really
nice
liked it.
little red light on him when he gets onto the apron and stuff, which I think works well.
Yeah.
I think they've nailed his packaging so far. So far so good.
And they need the win. I mean, we'll get to Money in the Bank predictions happening this Saturday night in Toronto, but they presumably get the win because, as you say, we need them to run roughshod over a lot of people before we get to SummerSlam, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a win for Solo over Cody and Cody's team, quote unquote, which will help motivate the actual SummerSlam match.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. One thing I would like to mention as well, when Solo, I loved it when Solo attacked Heyman and he was like, I tried. He was like so frustrated, like he didn't want to do it, but he's like, for weeks you haven't been on my side. I could tell you already didn't want me to be in a position of tribal chief. You're waiting for Reigns to come back. I'm here. This is like this. Look what I'm doing. Support me. Like I love that frustration from Solo. So it's just kind of justifying his actions, and you kind of like not show sympathy for the villain, but
It's a great
you could kind of
point.
understand the villain a bit. You know what I mean?
It's a great point because even before, when they were just in the ring and he turned to Paul and almost said that, Paul, it's your turn, he said, like, this is your last chance.
Yeah.
Acknowledge me.
And Heyman said, I love you. And then Solo said straight to him, genuinely, I love you too. So it was like, I actually do love you, but you're obviously not on side with this. You're not supporting me. So
And just talking about that moment, I love the way it built, and this kind of highlights the point we always talk about. Sometimes predictable is fine.
Yeah.
Like just in this segment, how we went through them one by one, Tama Tonga,
Yeah.
Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, they all acknowledged him, and then it came to Paul. And it was so
good.
I don't think it could have been executed more perfectly.
Yeah.
I really don't think.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it did happen a little bit earlier than we thought. But I think also this version of the Bloodline needed this really impactful moment.
Yeah.
And to do it lined up with MSG just made all the sense in the world. Paul Heyman became a hero instantly. Roman Reigns becomes the biggest babyface
it's amazing, man.
in the business, and he's not even there. Like, just sublime.
I've watched it back, and there's so many people in the crowd that while the beatdown is happening, they're one eye here on the beatdown and one eye over there on the entrance because they think Roman's coming now.
Really?
There's so many people feel like
There was
their
a-
heads are on a pivot, like swiveling, like
Did you notice that girl that was crying?
yeah.
There was a girl that was crying
They
in
caught
the
someone
audience.
else crying. Yeah.
Was it Ms. Girl?
And the parents were trying to calm her down, like, no, it's okay. She was like, as soon as Solo spiked him, she was
Yeah, they
tears
literally
already.
turned the camera
She was
and
in
she was in
tears
tears.
already. She was
I
in-
didn't see this.
Yeah,
Yeah. Watch it back, you'll see.
Yeah, you'll see. She's wearing white.
Okay.
And then Jacob attacks her. And then when Jacob did the headbutt, she's crying even more. It's like the crying's getting worse. And then they put him through the table.
He really took that headbutt as well,
Yeah,
didn't he?
man.
Yeah.
He
Brilliant.
went
This,
for that.
He done such a good job. He done such a good
just
job.
great
man.
stuff, man.
It's just that there is no one more, just, going back to the fact he didn't sleep and just his performance, there's no one more dedicated to the craft
Yeah.
than Heyman. Like, just absolutely unreal.
And this would have been him. He would have mapped this out beat for beat. You know, this is what was going to happen. This is what you're going to do to me.
Absolutely.
These guys, even from a family perspective, knowing him, being around the family, probably would have been, okay, are you sure you want to go through that table? Yes, you put me through that table.
Yeah.
Like, the only other thing I've enjoyed is the memes that have come online of them trying to get him up for the powerbomb and Jacob Fatu's head just deep in Paul Heyman's crutch. But,
They struggled a bit to get him up, didn't they?
Yeah, they struggled to get him there.
But weirdly, that made it more effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
That made it more effective. I think, I mean, to think that backstage 4 years ago, there was a shot of Roman Reigns and then the camera pulled wider and Heyman was sat next to him on that sofa.
Yep.
Think about what we've had since then.
Amazing,
Like that moment changed WWE.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
Because it gave us the best storytelling it's ever done.
Yeah.
And, you know, as they've kind of told with this whole story about, you know, why Roman has to be on top to feed the family, this has literally fed and brought jobs to so many of these guys.
Absolutely.
You know, directly, indirectly, people they wanted to sign before, but, you know, putting them straight now into like a main event picture sort of thing. It's incredible.
Well, so there was to that point, there was a soundbite from Roman Reigns, and I don't know what documentary it's on. I think it was one of the docs that was released on Peacock or, you know, in the US, and we don't have access to it in the UK yet. But there was a soundbite from him saying this entire thing has to benefit lots of other people.
Yeah.
It can't just benefit me. What's the point in that? It's got to benefit others. And think about all the it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like from the Usos to Sami Zayn.
I mean,
to
yeah,
Solo,
you're right, yeah.
to Tama Tonga, to
Building
everyone.
stars, Cody.
Yes,
you're
Cody
right.
as well.
Because I was just thinking only the. You're right, actually, because that's beyond.
And that is why Roman is, I think,
He's the top boy. Yeah.
Well,
one of
Roman,
the, if not the greatest of all time.
Who was doing that in the 80s? Ric Flair. You know what I mean? Flair, his motto was the match that he has puts the opponent on the map. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you go around all the different territories and build up stars that way. But yes, from a long time we haven't had this. And I think Reigns is, and especially in point of storyline as well, and storytelling in terms outside of the ring, building stars that way for sure. And I was just thinking only like Pacific Islanders. I was saying in a group chat the other day with Mekz, I was like, how many times have we had like, who was the biggest stars from the Pacific Islands growing up, right? Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Rikishi, but it wasn't that much. Do you know what I mean? Now we've got a plethora of stars from that island, so from that region. So that's great to see. But yes, absolutely, I agree with what you're saying. Reigns is building up stars left, right, and center, man. It's crazy.
To think about how wrong Vince got Roman.
Yeah.
It's true.
You know, the big dog, it's his yard, suckering succotash. There were so many missteps with Roman. To think that Roman has now sprinkled his magic dust over the amount of talents he has, it's remarkable, really.
Imagine if we actually got to see a heel Cena.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. What a waste.
I know.
Yeah.
What a waste.
It's a shame.
Okay, so are we all predicting Roman comes back with Paul at SummerSlam?
I think so.
To interrupt a Solo and Cody one-on-one match?
I reckon the next time we see Paul on screen, which will probably be something like SummerSlam, could be, like I say, towards that finish of that match, or it could be post the match. The next time we're seeing Heyman, Roman's going to be with him. And yeah, they'll maybe do a little bit on SummerSlam, but maybe they do the whole big Reigns is going to be on SmackDown on Friday, so they get their TV numbers and everything as well. But yeah, that's what we're going to be waiting for now.
But they've got to get it has become so important, Roman's return. Even, and this again speaks to how big a star he is. It's only been, or it will have, by the time we get to SummerSlam, it will have only been a few months. Yeah. It's not like he's been away for 10 years like Edge
about
or
4
whatever.
months, yeah.
4 months. And it's going to be the biggest thing ever. The way they execute it has to be perfect. Like, does he just step out with Heyman? Does his music hit? Do you know what I mean? Like, they've got to get that moment so right.
They also have to do, how I think they should book this is he can't just come back and be Mr. Superman. He needs to be vulnerable. He needs to come back. Obviously, the first night, he could be Mr. Superman. He could come and cause havoc. But going forward, because of how he treated the bloodline in the past, he has to earn their trust again.
100.
He has to earn their respect again. You know what I mean? So going after SummerSlam, building up to Survivor Series, which we all thinking is War Games, Bloodline versus Bloodline, he needs to show that he's a new person and he wants the bloodline, he wants the family back. It's not about him. It's not about being the head of the table. It's about all of us being at the table. And can you all please help me stop Solo and his madness and his crazy reign with Jacob Fatu and the Gorillas of Destiny, the Lowers, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Like, he needs to earn that trust. He needs to be vulnerable. He needs to come back and be like, guys, please, I need your help. Help me out here.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't even talked about the upcoming reunion between him and Jay.
Yeah.
Like, how powerful is that?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, man.
Even him and Sammy.
Yeah.
That, like, he can maybe get Jimmy back on side quite easily.
Quite easily, yeah.
Jay might be another one he has to work on. But the minute they put him and Sammy on screen together, because he has to basically grovel to Sammy to join them to form this team for War Games.
That's going to be great.
The place is going to go mental again.
But also, just while we're talking about Sammy, he looks credible against somebody like Bron Breakker.
Yeah.
Because he spent a year tangling with a load of Samoans.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he is tougher now.
Yeah.
And he beat
And is seen tougher now because of what he did in the Bloodline.
And who did he beat? The record? Who did he break?
Gunther, yeah.
Gunther, yeah.
So it all makes sense now why he was the guy to beat. It's just beautiful.
It's
isn't
just too good.
They thought about everything, haven't they?
There was a picture doing the rounds online of all of the guys that we're talking about on screen now, the Samoans, and how many kids they all have. People saying that this story's never going to end. Roman has 2 sets of twins and a boy.
Yeah.
Jacob's and a girl, sorry.
Jacob's got like 8 kids or something?
Jacob's got like 8 kids or something.
That's mental.
Yeah.
Who has 8 kids?
And Jacob, how was Jacob? Like maybe 32 or something like that?
He's still young. Yeah.
8 kids? There'll be a Channel 5 documentary on him.
Produced by you.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And then I guess...
And the Usos got kids as well.
Yeah, the Usos got kids. And yeah. There was a tweet as well, Rikishi, when this happened. I don't know if you see this?
No, I didn't see this.
Interesting.
What did he say?
It's done. The minute they had all put their hands up, literally within minutes of SmackDown going off air, Rikishi tweeted, "It's done." People are saying online, speculating, could he be the new wise man for this side of the bloodline?
Okay, so here's another question: Does Wolfpack Bloodline need a spokesperson? Or do you want them to be more chaotic? Because the thing is, with the original Bloodline, they were so methodical and like, yes, they were violent and nasty and awful, but they did it in a very kind of measured way. There was always a plan. The wise man was always, making plans behind the scenes and instructing Roman and the Usos and Sammy, etc. Whereas this new Bloodline are wild and dangerous and like, do they need a kind of manager role?
So
are they better without?
How my crazy brain works, I would definitely book them a wise man because I feel like Heyman needs someone to fight when all the melee is going off with Bloodline versus Bloodline. Heyman needs someone too. But my wise man will be, my name is Armando Alejandro Estrada.
Someone said this because he was Umarga's
manager.
Yeah. I would book him. Bring him back.
That's a good shout.
But I don't know. I don't know if that would work in the grander scheme of things where people might not remember who he is. But
I mean, it's a good shout.
Rikishi's a good name, but I don't know does he give them what a wise man Paul Heyman gives the Bloodline.
Exactly.
Is what's my question. But at the same time, to your point, James, I like the fact that these guys are wild. We spoke about what's his name, Solo bringing in Tangaloa, Tamatonga, Jacob Fatu, and it's like they don't even know what the plan is. It's just every day they turn up to work and they're on destruction. But like, what is the actual plan here? So maybe without a wise man, they can have things like infighting, and it's like they're running the what they call it, the inmates running the asylum sort of thing.
Yes, it's that.
it's probably going to be that.
Just so many exciting
This is
possibilities.
great, man. What a time to be a wrestling fan.
I'm a champion!